Hello viewers, welcome to our program on immigration and you. I am your immigration attorney Michael Fulvani, and once again we have with us my law partner David Nachman. David, welcome.
Thanks so much, Michael.
I just want to talk about that certain political things and the events that take place, they have taken place in the past or may happen in the future that will affect our immigration system, maybe with a CIR, maybe any other changes or administrative actions and all that. So where are we on those political issues? So we know that for 2000, we are looking at 2016, and the presidential election, Clinton on one side and hopefully Bush is another. Why hopefully? Because both of them are actually pro-immigrants. So rather than having somebody who is completely anti-immigrant in the Republican Party and that he becomes a president, we got a problem. But I'm just saying, even between Clinton and Bush, there is some difference. Clinton is all the way that illegal immigrant people that are living here should go up to the citizenship, path to citizenship.
She says that President Obama has not gone far enough.
That is correct. And same thing that she says about Bush is not going also on the forward. Because they are going up to even just giving them a legal status and a long term waiting for a green card too.
Well, if Bush takes a more proactive position, he's going to lose, of course, all the Tea Party members of his, the GOP.
It's true, but his wife is Mexican. Bush's wife is Mexican.
Yeah, but are you going to give up your wife, or are you going to give up the Tea Party?
And he lives in an area there are a lot of He needs a Mexican votes.
Yeah.
And he knows that if he's running against Clinton, she will take away all the votes. After this, that thing happened that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Well, it gives him moderation.
Moderation. So here comes something else happens, the political scene. Donald Trump, you know, all of you know Donald Trump, right?
Donald Trump, yes.
Trump or Trump, okay. He comes and he says, all the illegal Mexicans are rapists and murderers, are criminals.
Right.
Now that has been a big thing because he's kind of talking about the entire community. Maybe some people are, we know that some people are rapists, some people are always criminals, but he's talking about the entire. Some Indian does something and say all Indians are doing this, or one Sikh gentleman does it, all Sikhs are doing it. I mean, one Muslim guy says then blame all the Muslims. That not be the case. If one or two bad apples happen, that does not affect the entire community. So question here, people is like a saying joke. Some people say seriously, believe me. Some people say it's a joke. Trump is going to become a president of the United States. Forget it. He just wants to talk about it. He's an actor. He's a drama boys guy, right? And some people, these serious, these conservative Republicans say he's the one who openly says about that what we are thinking. So it's a little bit of improvement in this in points, but I don't think he may come. But again, we are talking about the subject of what these kind of political situations could affect all that.
Well, it's already cost him the Miss America pageant.
Yeah.
It's cost him just recently. They announced
Macy's.
PGA.
Macy's.
PGA too. Yeah.
Yeah. Macy's.
So it's huge for him to have made a comment like that and to stereotype openly is cost him as a businessman.
Yes.
Dearly.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, so something else happens which shouldn't have happened, and that kind of confirms what Trump said in a way. This gentleman, I think his name is Lopez, probably Sanchez, a Mexican guy who's an illegal alien in the U.S. And he, I think, had 5 or 6 felonies, and about 7 times he is deported back and forth. He keeps going, and big criminal record against him. Nevertheless, he kills a nice 32-year-old young girl for no reason. After this has happened, Trump says, I told you so. See, look here. How can there a person who's got 6 deportations and 5 felonies be walking in the street? He should be in the jail. Why isn't he in the jail? They say, because California is a sanctuary. So they don't bother about these things. The police, when they cannot call the immigration service, they are not handing over the people to ICE, and that's happening. So again, my point is that some of the also Democrat, the people who really understand the situation, they say this is an isolated case and you shouldn't blame the whole community. So that's how it works.
Right, well, that's how the
But
stereotype.
going forward, I don't know what happens in the elections, whether the Congress gets a majority, whether the Senate gives the majority, whether who become the president, and that's going to make a big difference
Right.
on the effect.
It's really anyone's guess, but what's interesting is who's throwing their hat into the ring right now.
Exactly.
Obviously, we kind of know who they are. It's kind of exciting that Chris Christie is
Yeah.
throwing his hat into the ring, and obviously, being from New Jersey, both of us are sort of excited about that, but we also realize that that may not wholly come to fruition. I don't think that his immigration policy is clear to anyone right now. I think that he probably travels along the normal lines of the GOP.
Right.
But so he's probably he's going to tend to the more conservative. But interestingly, historically, many of the very, very good immigration laws that have been passed under Republican presidents.
True.
So that
Remember President Reagan,
that's correct.
1986, the Simpson-Mazzoli bill.
Yeah.
He was the one who really signed that bill, and first amnesty in my lifetime, 1986. Because under that, any person was illegal in the U.S. since 1982, and hundreds of thousands of people got benefits and that was like a green card.
Yeah.
If you qualify, apply for a green card directly. That's it.
Right. And it's kind of interesting because I think going back a couple of years, Michael, you and I have always on TV, we've always said, you would think that, and we talked about this, I believe, when President Obama was trying to get his second term.
Yeah.
And we talked about, is it better to have a Republican or a Democrat in office? And one of the things that I believe I had pointed out is that, if you look traditionally at how things shake out, having a Republican office is not so bad for immigration.
Right.
So while a lot of people would think that, having a liberal Democrat in office is better for immigration overall, that's not necessarily the case. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking about the President Reagan and this law that passed in his regime, in his time. Remember this agriculture worker program?
SAW.
SAW.
Special Agricultural Worker Program.
Joke. What is the joke? Between 1984 and 85, in that 1 year period, if anybody worked for 90 days on the farm, 90 days, you could get a green card.
Right.
And it was like a joke, 90 days, people, a lot of fraud. In that, there were a lot of fraud.
And lawyers and all these people were working on the farms, right?
Listen to me, interesting, I tell you what, there was a farmer who issued about 600 experience letters, and then looked at that, he had got about 1 acre of land or 2 acres of land. 600 people can hardly even stand there. He's working in that. Of course, they arrested him, there was a prosecution, but there was a lot of fraud.
Remember that these programs were under litigation for about, I would say, a good 12 years after the programs went through, maybe even longer.
Yeah, but I'm saying this is what happened in the Reagan period with the Republicans signing the law, and I know how it worked between Mazzoli and Simpson. Mazzoli was a Democratic in the House, and Simpson was from Kentucky, Republican in the Senate. Actually, both of them are interviewed on the TV during that bill, because Simpson took him to the studio in ITV here.
On ITV.
ITV, only both of them, we still have those tapes, my interview with Simpson and my interview with Mazzoli. So that was a time where they could have a bipartisan approach. Mazzoli and Simpson spent a lot of times in dinner, maybe drinks, and sitting down and working out a deal. Bipartisan spirit was there. So we had to do it. Then, once they finalized this, came some senators and congressmen from the agriculture areas. They say, hey guys, I'm not going to support you. What will happen to my farmers? They will be deported, they won't be able to work and all that. So what shall we do? Say, put some clause, something you have to put in. 90 days work, right? So that's compromise. Okay, all right, fine, let's do that. It was the spirit there, which is not here at all.
Right. Well, yeah, it's different regime now.
Okay, we got little time left.
Talk
Let's
about J-1.
J-1.
Yeah.
Exchange visitor visas, basically the whole, I think, idea behind exchange visitor visas was people coming from some countries to have education or experience, and they're supposed to go back to their home country to use that thing. That was the whole purpose. In some cases, they even have the 2-year foreign residency requirement that you cannot change into anything, temporary visa or immigrant visa, unless you go back home for 2 years. But there's some provisions for the waivers of those. So this has been a good program, but it's if you look at the J1, and you can talk more about that, it's much wider than that. Basically, I know au pairs, the kind of what you call the nannies, a babysitter, mostly they come from European countries, and also
Camp counselors,
camp counselor, the students who are
interns,
coming for
students,
interns for summer
trainees.
program, trainees.
Exactly.
Why don't you talk more about this J1?
Well, I think the J-1 visa was actually implemented under the law, under a statute called the Mutual Cultural Exchange Act. And as Michael properly pointed out, it had to do with you're basically learning a skill here in the United States on a temporary basis and then taking that skill back to your home country and implementing that skill there. So basically what it was is the idea behind it is that you learn an excellent skill set that's not available in your home country and that you take it back. And Michael also referred to the 2-year foreign residency requirement because in some cases, because that skill set is not available in the country, if that skill is on what's called the country's skill list, which is available if you access the State Department's Foreign Affairs Manual, and it's listed. There's a skills list listed, and you can find out whether or not the country needs you to come back. So that's how the 2-year residency requirement might apply to you. But basically what it is that there are these umbrella organizations that are sanctioned by the U.S. Department of State. So it's almost like, for example, Au Pair America, which is the nanny program that Michael made reference to, is a program that is sanctioned by the U.S. Department of State. Individuals would go to the Au Pair America, and Au Pair America has offices basically in Northern Europe and all over the world. And then what you would do is you here in the United States would go to Au Pair America on this side and say, I would like a nanny. And so the program then will hook you together with a person on the other side who says, I want to be a nanny. So the person on the other side who wants to be a nanny gets hooked to you who wants a nanny. You pay a fee, they pay a fee. The program hooks you together and places this individual in your home to be your nanny. So that's basically the way it works for nannies. It also works for camp counselors the same way. It works the same way for organizations that need trainees or interns. So it works the same way in business. If you have let's say if you have a business and you need to get an intern or you need to get a temporary worker, you can hook to one of these organizations. And we, Michael and I, have a list of reputable organizations that would be able to provide you with the individuals from the foreign countries. So
there are some requirements, like they have to pay some fees, they have to have some kind of health insurance, educational background,
what the
and
job is going to
exactly,
be.
exactly,
So
yeah.
But I think that one of the most important things is that the J-1 programs have recently come under intense scrutiny by the U.S. Department of State because, unfortunately, there have been some apples that have been bad. About 2 summers ago, I believe it was, Hershey, Pennsylvania, the people who were brought on J-1s to work in Hershey's chocolate were complaining because they had to unload boxes of chocolate off of the back of a truck. And they said that's not what the J-1 program is about.
But David, bad apples are always there in any program, it will be there. Let me quickly say something about, I remember now, 25, 30 years ago, maybe ago, I had an opportunity to interview Indira Gandhi, who was the Prime Minister of India, in an interview. So she was talking about they take away these doctors, nurses, or some employees from India and foreign countries, and that was not the purpose of that thing. And I did not argue with her, the Prime Minister, but then I talked to the other people. I said, I don't know what she's talking about, because doctors come here all over the world go from India. It's not that in India there's such a deficiency. There are a lot of people already there. Is there more people available? That's how some people are coming here. So that's how, about when you talk about J-1 program, in a way, she was not like more conversant with the immigration law, but she must have heard that under some program, people come here and with a condition they are going to come back, but they never come back.
Well, they're allowed to stay, but they have to spend more time working here than it would be if they were to have to go home. So the burden that's placed on them tends to be more onerous. So, yeah.
So these are some of the old stories and many years, and it's fantastic. It was wonderful. I mean, I don't know whether that is still available. My interview with Indira Gandhi on the IT. It's very old things, 30, 40 years ago. But
It's in their archives.
whole the stories, you know, a lot of stories to tell, a lot of things I can talk about, the interesting cases, what happened here, what happened there, our meetings with the American consul, interviews of the various district directors and immigration officials and all that. Maybe we can talk about that some other time.
I was going to say, if any of the viewers are interested in the J-1 visa program,
Yeah.
please feel free to visit our website at www.visaserve.com or send us an email at info@visaserve.com, which is on your screen right now. And what you can do is just shoot us an email. We'll be happy to provide you with a J-1 overview. And if you need to hook to a reputable J-1 program, just let us know.
Well, thank you very much for watching the program, and we are coming to end of this program today. Please make sure to keep watching us every Saturday and Sunday at 11:45 a.m. Thank you very, very much, and goodbye.